We are Post Profit, and this is another awesome episode of ETX Rocks featuring Harper Starling.
From the unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where it all begins. Welcome to the show, let the music flow, of every style and creed. And you can bet your socks that ETX rocks, ETX rocks.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned in to the #1 resource for independent music in Northeast Texas. It's episode 277 of the ETX ROCKS Show. We have a huge treat for everybody out there. It's a current #1 Billboard artist, I believe, in the dance music genre. Is it dance music or electronica, Harper?
Yes, it's dance music.
Okay, very cool. And, we have Harper Starling on the phone. She's based in L.A. I think you're originally from Wisconsin, right?
That is correct. Born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
So how did you end up in Los Angeles? It had to be music, right?
It is kind of a long roundabout way. I'll try to sum up a couple years into like a minute.
Right.
But I actually went to school for physical therapy. And, same thing as music, of course.
Right.
But, I got my undergrad in kinesiology, and I was going to graduate school. I had about a year and a half left to get my doctorate. And I had decided that it wasn't meant for me. Music was really my passion. And I finally decided to pursue music as a full-time career. And so after that, I got in touch with a family friend who introduced me to Sigmund Snowpeck of the Violent Femmes.
Wow.
And we had collaborated together for about a year and a half, eventually culminating in a gig at Summerfest, which, for those that aren't aware, it's similar to Lollapalooza or Coachella. So I got to open for Sheryl Crow. And that performance got me in touch with my management team based off of in New York. And I got the choice to decide, do I want to move to palm trees or do I want to move to New York where there's still more winter weather? And I was like, I've been over snow since I was 8 years old.
Oh, I can imagine.
I'm going west.
Yeah. That's not a tough choice when you've grown up in Wisconsin, I can imagine.
Yeah, it was never, cold weather was never in the cards for me.
Right.
I always envisioned palm trees and nice warm weather.
That's awesome. So, we're extremely excited to feature a couple of Harper's videos out there now. The first one is the current single, and again, it was #1 on the dance charts for Billboard. You worked together with the Perry twins on this song. Tell us a little bit about Euphoria.
Yes, I got very, very fortunate to work with the Perry twins on this. I initially wrote Euphoria with Cassia Livingston, who has written for Britney Spears, Jessie J, the Pussycat Dolls, plus many others. And then after we had written the song, I was very, very fortunate to bring it to the Perry twins, who really wanted to collaborate and produce the instrumentation of the single. And I was very, very honored by that because I know they've worked with Rihanna, Beyonce,
Right.
You name it, they've worked with those artists. But the premise of Euphoria really parallels my own life and what I had gone through when I was younger. And it's really about letting go of your fears and really being comfortable with who you are and going for your dreams. And when you let go of that, you kind of get this feeling of bliss or euphoria.
Right. And again, we're really excited to showcase the video. We're going to show the official video, and we'll talk a little bit more about the song right after this. Y'all check out Euphoria by Harper Starling.
I don't need somebody else to speak for me. let it go, let it go. I'm not holding on to what's not holding me. I'll let it go, let it go. Helium and butterflies, I'm blowing up. How can I? This euphoria, dancing on the ceiling, seeing is believing, 'cause I feel like the real me now. Give me euphoria, floating in the neon. No, I don't need a reason, 'cause I feel like the real me now. Give me euphoria, give me euphoria, give me euphoria, give me euphoria. There is no one that can bring me to my knees. I'll let them know, let them know. They can't take the light that shines inside of me. I'll let it show, let it show. Helium and butterflies, I'm blowing up. How can I? This euphoria, dancing on the ceiling, seeing is believing, 'cause I feel like the real me now. Give me euphoria, floating in the neon. No, I don't need a reason, 'cause I feel like the real me now. I'm gonna be shouting loud, I'm gonna be dancing proud. I'm never gonna ever stop until I reach the top. I'm not coming down. Give me euphoria. This euphoria, dancing on the ceiling, seeing is believing, 'cause I feel like the real me now. Give me euphoria, floating in the neon. No, I don't need a reason, 'cause I feel like the real me now. Give me euphoria, give me euphoria, give me euphoria, give me euphoria.
All right, so we are back once again. We're talking with Harper Starling on the phone, and tell us a little bit about the dancer that was in this video.
Yes, his name is Steve, and I really, really, really like him. I met him actually at a dance audition, and I really liked his energy, and I liked his vibe, and it's someone that I know not to base off of appearances, but I did not expect him to kind of break out and dance the way that he did.
Right.
And my creative director, Leo Madrid, had suggested bringing him back into this music video, and I really liked that because Steve looks just like you, just like me. It's an everyday someone that you see on the street. And the whole premise of the video was, these pair of headphones, so to speak, my cat headphones.
Mm-hmm.
The Perry twins and I are just kind of passing it off along to each person. And as they go along and put on the headphones, Euphoria comes on, and they just are overwhelmed with this sense of bliss and not really caring what the world feels like. And so that's how we went. We just told Steve, do what you want to do and we'll film it. And so we went all over West Hollywood and downtown Hollywood, filming him just kind of dancing and doing his thing on the street. And it was great. We got some people involved in that and got some of their reactions in the video. And I'm very, very proud of how it turned out.
The video is cool just in its simplicity, I mean, you can feel like you're, as part of the audience, you feel like you're there while it's being filmed. I mean, it's really cool.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
You did mention, some struggles you had as a youngster, and also taking that huge risk of kind of ending your schooling and jumping both feet in with music. One thing that's really inspirational about your story is just the healing power of music. Now, we've done 276 of these shows, and it's really it's mesmerizing to see how many different people are affected by songwriting and melody and all of that, and how it can change the way we feel about regular life. Tell us a little bit about what you had to go through as a child. I know that you were diagnosed with Tourette's as an 8-year-old and went through a lot of intense bullying and stuff like that. And music kind of really brought you out of that, didn't it?
It did. For those that don't know, listening, Tourette's is a neurological disorder, and essentially it is a lot of involuntary tics. And it was a lot more severe when I was younger. It's a little more mild now, but I feel I'll always have Tourette's.
Right.
But back then it was a lot of the spasms, the head jerking. I wasn't in control of my body, and that was very scary for me as a kid. And so I had to go to a lot of different doctors, do a lot of different scans, a lot of different tests, because back then my parents and I, we had no idea what was wrong with me. And so I kind of felt like a freak more than anything else. And I was always someone who, as a really little kid, I was so outgoing all the time. Anytime I could perform, dance, sing, you knew when I was in a room.
Right,
we'll just say that I was a very energetic child.
You were a commanding presence.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that's a good way to put it. And when Tourette's came on, and a lot of verbal bullying happened. At that point, all I wanted to do was blend into the background and kind of become a wallflower.
Right.
And I started to notice and realize when I was dancing and when I was singing, the tics would go away. And that was such a blessing and in disguise. And I am so grateful for that type of medicine, so to speak, is what I say, is what I call it, because I allowed myself to then just become immersed within music and performing, because it was already a passion of mine, and it was a way for me to feel empowered and like I had control again.
Right.
And that really led me, I think, as scared and embarrassed as I was about Tourette's when I was little, that actually led me to where I'm at today, pursuing my dream.
And I'm definitely curious now as an adult, you're going through school, it sounds like you were really knocking that out of the park as well. Do you feel like there was some kind of correlation there as an adult that maybe you owed the music something in return because the music pulled you out of a dark place and so now you end up going back there?
I think that's a really good way to put it, because I'd always been involved in music and performing musicals, plays, etc., you name it, all the way up until college. And then college came, and again with physical therapy and just the demands that type of degree took, there really wasn't any time for me to do any type of music related stuff. I think I'd did one choir, but it wasn't the same for me.
Right.
And I really started going back to a darker place because music was no longer in my life. And I tried to work through that, and that's actually where I started to do songwriting. I bought a keyboard, and I started just playing in my room and writing stuff out, and I realized that was very therapeutic to me. And that's where kind of the seeds of me really pursuing this as a full-time career started to form, was probably, I want to say, my like junior year of college.
So how was that taken from your loved ones, your friends, your family, you know, when you approach them and say, hey, you know what, I think I'm going to quit school and become a musician full time?
It went exactly how you probably anticipated to go.
Right.
Initially, they're like, say what?
Yeah, you're going to do what now?
Yeah. Okay, so I think actually, you know what, my sister definitely understood, and she guessed it right from the get-go, and she totally could tell. My parents and a lot of my close friends were going, okay, we obviously hope you do well, but maybe you should have a backup just in case. And it took them a little bit initially to really understand and support me and my decision, but now I'm just so thankful and grateful for everything that they have done for me, especially my parents. They've been with me now every step of the way, from the moment I met Sigmund to where I'm at today. I'm constantly emailing, Skyping, calling them, letting them know what's going on, and you know, they give suggestions as well. So I'm very blessed in that department.
Yeah, it sounds like you're blessed in many, many different ways. You know, I mean, that is a huge life step to take. You know, especially when...
that was probably...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say that was probably the one of two hardest decisions I've had to make in my life, was dropping that as a guaranteed career choice of physical therapy. And then the second choice was moving to Los Angeles. Those, I would say that those were the hardest choices for me.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that, you know, just kind of being a Midwestern girl and just, you know, heading to one of the coasts and just being like, hey, I don't know anybody out here. Going to try to make a go of this, especially when, as a youngster, you know, you face a lot of social pressure from your peers at school and the bullying and all that. So that had to be massively frightening for you just to get up and go, you know?
It was. As you said before, all of my friends and my family, and just to kind of give you a idea of how close my family is, all my first and second cousins on both sides of the family are within probably a half hour, maybe an hour away from me. And we're all very, very close. We always have been very close to each other. And to just pick up and move out to the coast where I knew absolutely no one, and I am naturally introverted. People wouldn't assume that when they see me on stage. They're going, "What are you talking about?"
And we hear that all the time with
Gaga,
artistic people. Yeah. It's exactly. Crazy. It's crazy how many stage performers and entertainers are just naturally introverted, and they're just a different personality when they're on stage. It's actually quite a natural thing.
I never realized that how many artists are like that, because it was so funny, because when my friends saw me perform for the first time, they're going, where did that come from? I'm going, I don't know, it just kind of comes out, and I'm in the moment, and how I feel is what you see on stage, and that's really, for me, that's where I come alive. But when I'm not, I naturally like to keep to myself. And I knew it was going to be a struggle really meeting people out here initially. And the first couple of months, you know, I kind of had to find my footing, had to find my way. And I think I've got a pretty good handle on it now. I'm very, very lucky with the friends that I met out here. And I've met a lot of great people and some mentors that have really helped me grow as an artist.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that we're getting to speak with you today, because we've kind of created a niche for ourselves and kind of telling the backstories behind artists, and you know, especially inspirational tales such as yours. It's just a really cool thing to try to, you know, shout from the mountaintop, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Thank you so much. That really means a lot.
And so, you know, it was probably 95. I graduated high school in 94. It wasn't too long after that I was introduced to the Violent Femmes. And for a music fan, that was a transcendental experience for me, I'll be honest. I was a huge Femmes fan in the 90s, huge. So when I'm reading your biography and you happen to meet Sigmund Snopek of the Femmes, and he's just, really influential in the rise of your career, man, what an opportunity for you.
I know, it's crazy how it all came together, but I'm so thankful. And I really learned a lot from Sigmund and about gigging and writing music. He was really the first one that I had collaborated on writing songs with. As I mentioned before, I had written some of my own stuff in my room, but I didn't feel very confident as a songwriter. But I knew I needed to take it further. And so one of my family friends introduced me to him. And initially we were just going to do maybe 2 songs to collaborate on. I think he just wanted to get a feel for me. But then he heard some of the songs that I had written, and he heard my voice, and he said, I really like the tone of your voice, and I really like the ideas you have. I would like to work on a full album with you. And so within the next year and a half, we really got together on multiple days on a weekly basis, working on music and what type of songs work well together and why they work together. And then I would be gigging with him a lot in southeastern Wisconsin. And as I mentioned before, that culminated to opening up for Sheryl Crow at Summerfest, which has been a lifelong dream of mine.
So that was just kind of a geographic occurrence, and because Sigmund is from the same area as you, is that right?
Yep, I got very lucky. He actually, by that point, when I was introduced to him, I was living on the east side of Milwaukee, and he lived about 10 minutes away from me. I could have walked to his house.
That's incredible. And
his apartment.
It's funny, too, like listening to your music, you couldn't be more different from what the Violent Femmes did to what you're doing. And
I know.
Yeah. So that's really neat to hear that collaborations like that can exist outside of the boundaries of genre. I think that's really neat.
Exactly. That would be one of my biggest advice. People always ask, what's your advice for up-and-coming musicians or other people wanting to get involved in the industry? And I said, look to collaborate. Always look to collaborate, because usually 2 minds are always better than one. And there might be ideas or different sounds that you wouldn't have expected your music to take.
And everybody has traveled a different road. Nobody has traveled the same exact road. So it's always best to try to have as many different life experiences within the sound as you can get.
Exactly.
I'm not LA or New York or anything like that. I'm just a small guy in East Texas that's interviewed over 400 people, and I hear it all the time. Sometimes when you're a young songwriter and you can't quite nail down your identity or your sound, that is a good indication that you need to pull somebody else in to help you with that identity. So important. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. I really learned a lot about who I am as an artist and where I see my music going and what genre I really wanted to do through Sigmund, through Cassia, through the Terry Twins, through another artist I actually just collaborated with. I'm very, very thankful for that, because I initially, starting off, did not anticipate going in the dance music / pop music route. And I'm very, very thankful and happy that I did, because it just happens to be where I fit.
Right. And, I was telling Harper off before we started recording about a song that she did. I think it was last year. It's called Disco Mirror Queen, and we're going to play the video a little bit later in the show. But if you watch the video, it's like Madonna mid-'80s all over again, man. It's, one of the first movies I ever saw in the theater as a kid was Desperately Seeking Susan by Madonna, with Madonna in the movie. And so this video kind of reminds me of that era of Madonna's career. How big of an influence did the 80s have on you?
Massive.
I can imagine, yeah.
So one thing to know about me is I have been obsessed with the 80s for a very long time, from the big hair, not the mullet or the shoulder pads, but other things, the good parts of the 80s. The music especially. So I'm a kid of the 90s, but I had always listened to 80s. I got very lucky. My parents really were an eclectic mix. They listened to everything, and they were always playing vinyl records on in our living room. And so my sister and I would always be dancing to it. And I remember a lot of Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, Michael Jackson. I mean, you name any major artist of the 80s, my sister and I were listening and dancing to it. And I actually, the bigger my hair can get, the better it is nowadays, especially on stage. So I wanted to bring a lot of that into my music. And I know, especially with Disco Mirror Dream, that I'm very glad that you caught that, because I really wanted my love of the 80s to come across.
Yeah, my producer and I both, she watched it with me this morning, and she said, man, this would have been a huge hit in the 80s. And I was like, I think that's what she's going for. I think that's it.
Yeah, that was my first song, and I was like, let's start them off with this. Let's go as big and as crazy and as bright as we can.
And it's the same concept as the current video as well. Very simple in your approach with the production of the video.
Thank you.
I love that, because it's, in this day and age of technology and all that, like, I feel as a music fan that the videos can really lose me as a consumer, just based on too much sound or too much going on within the visuals of the video. How much input do you have in the production of your music videos?
A lot, actually, which I'm really, really thankful for. A lot of the times, either I come up with a concept or my manager will come up with a concept, and then we kind of play it out from there. And all the outfits you saw were all my own, especially in Disco Mirror Dream. It's so funny. I actually went back to my mom helps out with the costume department at my old high school, just trying to help volunteer. And so I did a poll through. I was like, what can you give me from the 80s? What can I take from here? So I actually packed up about 2 suitcases full, and we shot it in New York, and it was all 80s.
That's awesome.
Outfits galore. It was great. I'm like, this is perfect. I would love to keep this, but I know I can't. But I got very lucky. I got to choose that. A lot of the sets were already there in advance, but I got to look at the shots and a lot of the edits, and I got to say, what I liked, what I didn't like, certain things that I would like to include. So I was very, very happy that the director and my manager were very receptive to what I wanted in my video. That
kind of freedom doesn't exist very often in the music industry anymore either, so kudos on that.
No, it
for
does
sure.
Not. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's nice to see, I think, as a fan, it's nice to see your personality shine through the music, and I think that's missing a lot nowadays in music, for sure. So yeah, it's cool to see that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, your songwriting, I have to get to that, because, we here in Texas, we're oversaturated with country music. I mean, it's everywhere here. So I've talked to a lot of country music songwriters over the years, but I would love to hear from you, knowing that you have this heavy 80s influence. How does that kind of shape your songwriting process?
Well, I definitely always want to make sure that my music has a message in it. As much as, there's always room for the whole dance club bouncing, woo, having a good time, it's the weekend, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
That has its moment. But for me, even though I write pop/dance music, I want to make sure that it's not such a shallow song. I want to make sure that it has a deeper meaning behind it. And with disco and with Euphoria, they're actually very similar messages, as I mentioned before. And that's what I liked about a lot of 80s music, too. Especially Michael Jackson. I mean, his songwriting was absolutely phenomenal. And
absolutely.
It always had a message. And, yeah, sometimes people didn't actually realize what was being said. They just hummed along to the melody. But if you look at the lyrics, to me, lyrics are the most important part. And that is when I'm songwriting, a lot of the times the lyrics come the easiest to me.
Right.
And so I'll always start with a concept first. And sometimes I have a word in my head as the title, like Euphoria, or Disco Mirror Dream actually was a whole different reason why I came up with that. Well, I'll explain it now. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place. But
no, you're fine. You're fine. You're good.
I was at I still remember this. I was at '80s dive bar, a corner dive bar back in Wisconsin. It was later in the night, so I had some to drink. But there's a massive disco ball in this club, and I always go to this place every time I go home to visit. It's called Mad Planet, and I looked up, and I was like, "That's it. I know what I'm gonna do." So I ran to the bathroom and sang a quick voice note. But I remembered it in the morning, and that's how that song came about. And I also remember the song that was playing as well. It was "You Spin Me Round" by Dead or Alive.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was all
an
that.
An 80s song, again, an 80s song.
An 80s song, yep. So that definitely influenced that song. But with Euphoria, that idea came to me. Euphoria was the very first word I saw in an article that I was reading online. And that really stuck to me, and it was a very powerful word, and I realized it's a word that everyone knows, but is seldom used.
Yeah.
And so what does euphoria mean to me? And everything, just the dots all kind of connected together. So within an hour, Cassie and I wrote the song.
I think that's really interesting to hear you talk about the balance between, making it relevant to your genre, which is dance, making people move, but a lot of times, like you even mentioned, the dance music can kind of make the lyrics disappear to the point where nobody cares, nobody's listening. Is there a big struggle as an artist to how to figure out how to get people to listen?
A lot of the times it's interesting because I've noticed this not just with my own music, but with other artists in the dance or pop realm. That actually, one perfect example is Lady Gaga. Some of her music, if you actually listen to the lyrics, when people do it in an acoustic version, like on a piano, suddenly the lyrics make sense and they have such a stronger meaning. And I think that was where people realized, oh, wow, she's a really good songwriter. And, if they listened to Euphoria when I was doing it on the piano, they went, oh, wow, that just completely changed the song. And I'm going, it's true. A lot of the times the lyrics get overlooked, and I think unless people are doing it in an acoustic version, like on a piano or on a guitar, I think sometimes we get lost in the beat of the music and the bass and the synth. Which don't get me wrong, I love myself some bass and some synth, especially some 80s synth. But I like to focus on the lyrics the most.
I love how you go there because it's so true. When you kind of bring the music back to its raw form, that's when people really take notice to it. I just think it's frustrating as a fan to have to bring it down that low in order for us to listen. Sometimes. So I just wanted to see if that was something that you think about often as a songwriter.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And it's interesting too. I think I got that honestly from my Grammy, because I know she always really likes to listen to the lyrics and she looks and then she writes them down, and then it's really cute. She'll mail them to me. So old school, and I love it. But she goes, I was listening to X, Y, and Z song. And she'll send the lyrics to me, and I'm going, oh, those are beautiful. And even when I was living back in Wisconsin, she knew I was really pursuing music full time, she would always show me lyrics of certain songs that meant a lot to her. And I realized how much lyrics can affect the success of a song and how it affects people in their life. So.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that too, if the lyrics aren't very good, then it can definitely affect the lack of success on a song. Yes. Big time. And you might not realize that until after the song's already out, and that's when you have to really kind of figure out what your mistakes are along the way. Mm-hmm. For sure. So anyway, we're sitting here with Harper Starling. We're talking on the phone with her, #1 Billboard artist. Has that set in to you yet, hearing those words?
Not quite, because it's so crazy. When I was looking on the chart, and all of a sudden I see, Calvin Harris and Dua Lipa and Rihanna and Drake all on the same chart, and I'm going, oh gosh, I'm actually higher up than they are on this chart. What's going on? Right.
It's gonna be nuts, man. I mean, this isn't like some no-name chart. This is Billboard we're talking about. Yeah, so seeing names like Sting and Shaggy and then there's Harper Starling right above them. It's going to be nuts.
Hey.
Yeah.
I know. I'm so thankful and happy with how people are responding to it. And that's what means a lot to me, that they're inspired by my music and that they really can connect to that song.
So what's the plan from here? Where do you go after getting number one on Billboard? What's the plan?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. I actually have a single that I just wrote with Carlos Bate from the Jackie Boys. He's written with Justin Bieber and Madonna. Gotta love Madonna again. You name it, he's wrote with them, and wrote, whatever it is in English. But he worked with me, and our single is called One Call Away. And the details will be released very soon as to when that will be coming out. And I'm really looking forward for people to hear it. It's definitely got a lot of tropical undertones, which is perfect for summer.
Cool. You don't know when that's going to be out yet, though?
It will definitely be in August. I will definitely say that.
Very cool, very cool. And I know this episode is coming out in August, so you guys be looking for that.
Yes, it is.
It's called One Call Away?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very cool. So we'll be looking for that. And are there plans for an album to come out soon?
Yes, there is. I've been working on an EP, which will be released later this year, which I'm very, very excited for people to hear. Awesome.
So we'd love to have a copy of that when it comes out. We'll be in contact.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm very excited.
So once again, we're talking with Harper Starling. It's episode 277 of the ETX ROCKS Show. I want to thank everybody for spending some time with us. We're learning a little bit about what makes Harper Starling tick and how she got to where she is today. As you guys might know, if you're tuned in before, we really like to dig into the backstories of these artists. You don't really get to hear that too often from stage or watching a video, and it's always cool to hear the stories. And speaking of videos, I want to play my favorite video so far. It's called Disco Mirror Queen. We've been talking a little bit about it and how it's really kind of Madonna, Cyndi Lauper from the 80s. Tell us how you wrote the song. You told us about the disco ball at the bar, but when you sat down to write it, how'd that go?
Well, initially, and I know it's an interesting title, the Disco Mirror Dream, but that was the first part that came to me, and the opening of the song goes, glitter falling to the ground, shiny orbs spin round and round.
Right.
And that just came to me. I was like, I got it. I know what I'm going to do. You know, it's essentially getting ready to just go out for the night, just to dance your worries away, just to be within this moment. But my moment naturally had to have like a 4-foot disco ball on top. That's all. What it was. And it just kind of came to me, and I was listening to that voice memo, and the girl that I wrote that with, Amy Prawl, who has also worked with Kelly Clarkson and Katy Perry, I talked to her about my experience that night, and I showed her the voice memo, and she goes, "Oh, this is perfect. We've got this." And so it all just kind of came together, and we initially wrote it on the piano, but then I worked with the management team to really bring out a lot of 80s synths, actually, not some, a lot of 80s
there's
and
that vibe
a lot
there.
of, oh yeah, I definitely wanted the 80s vibe for my first single, so that's
awesome.
how that came about.
And so the video has almost 110,000 views on YouTube.
Yeah,
that's going to blow your mind, right?
Yeah, I'm like, oh wow, the views kept going up. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. My sister's fiance, he looked at the video and he goes, oh wow, that's more than just people she knows. Yeah, that's definitely a lot. I went, yeah, thank you for everyone that's watching it, and to those that responded. It's crazy to me. You know, they would watch this video. It happened to pop up on the recommended page after watching either Miley Cyrus or Katy Perry or Lady Gaga, and I'm going, oh, this is awesome. Sure.
So yeah. I think the moral of this story is be careful who you bully out there, because that special little girl that might be a little bit different than you can end up on YouTube 110,000 times in the future.
Right.
So just keep that in mind out there.
There you go.
Absolutely. We're excited to share the video with our audience. It's called Disco Mirror Dream. I know I said Queen earlier. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
But
Queen's also good.
All right. But it's Disco Mirror Dream by Harper Starling, only here on the ETX ROCKS Show. Y'all check it out.
Glitter falling to the ground, shiny all spin round and round. Music drumming in our hearts, I can see just who you are. When lights burn like the sun, brighter than a gun, there's everlasting fun in this world of self-express. Tonight we'll never rest, we decide our fate in this disco mirror dream, gonna dance in a disco mirror dream, come alive tonight. Disco mirror dream, got me wild in a disco mirror dream, come alive tonight. We'll go higher and higher, we'll go higher and higher. Lost inside this wanderlust, but I'm convinced that I'm in love with the music and the floor. So many visions to explore. When lights burn like the sun, brighter than a gun, there's everlasting fun in this world of self-express. Tonight we'll never rest, we decide our fate in this disco mirror dream, gonna dance in a disco mirror dream, come alive tonight. Disco mirror dream, got me wild in a disco mirror dream, come alive tonight. We'll go higher and higher, we'll go higher and higher, we'll go higher and higher, we'll go higher and higher. Live your truth, express your love, dancing in the sky like the stars above. Live your truth, express your love, dancing in the sky, we'll be dancing in the sky. Disco mirror dream, gonna dance in a disco mirror dream, come alive tonight. Disco mirror dream, got me wild in a disco mirror dream, come alive tonight. We'll go higher and higher, we'll go higher and higher, we'll go higher and higher, we'll go higher and
Yes.
All right, so we are back with Harper Starling, first time on the show. Definitely want to thank you for hanging out with us a little bit today, Harper. I know you probably have a really busy schedule.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really happy to be here and to be talking to you.
And so if folks out there are just hearing about you, where would you send them to follow along with your musical journey on social media?
Well, a lot of updates and details can be seen at my website at www.harperstarling.com, or they can follow me at Instagram or on Twitter. My sign is at Harper Starling, exactly how it sounds, and Facebook is at Harper Starling Music.
And we'll definitely put the webpage in the description down below so folks can have one-click access right there. It's harperstarling.com, or is it harperstarlingmusic.com?
Nope, just harperstarling.com.
That's what I thought. And I know that your social media is all linked through there, and you can listen to the music. I think you can purchase the singles there as well. Any live events will be updated through there as well. So you guys make sure you're checking that out. And I say it on every single show. You don't know how important it is just to hit that like or follow button on an artist's social media. That really, really helps out a lot. And it's completely free for you as the fan to do that. So hit that like or follow button for Harper. I'm sure she'll appreciate that.
Yes, I will. I know you can't see, but I'm giving a thumbs up.
Awesome.
Over the phone.
And again, one call away, the brand new Harper Starling single will be released sometime this month in August 2018. Brand new music by the end of the year. You heard it here first. She's promised an EP by the end of 2018. So that's going to put all the pressure on her now to make sure it's complete.
I've got it. I promise I won't let you down.
Awesome. Now, you've been watching episode 277 featuring the one and only Harper Starling's first appearance here on the ETX ROCKS Show. If you're just hearing about us for the first time, make sure you follow along with everything we have going on. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and you can find us at ETX ROCKS. Now, if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That's the biggest way you can help us in supporting our mission here on the show. We have almost 1,400 subscriptions on there, but every time you guys subscribe, that number goes up by 1. That's the power you hold out there. So hit that subscription button. If you like what we're doing here on the show, make sure you're smashing that like button as well, wherever you're watching or listening at. Also, we are completely self-funded on the ETX ROCKS Show, which means we are low budget, and I emphasize the word low. So if you guys would like to help out financially with the show, you can definitely do that. We have a donate link set up. That's located at www.paypal.me/ETXROCKS, and we'll take any form of currency except Bitcoin. I don't know how to spend Bitcoin.
I don't think I do either.
Yeah, I don't think it fits in the soda machines around here.
Probably not.
Yeah. So make sure you're, donating actual spendable currency. That'll help us out a lot. And it's because of y'all's donations that we just recently launched a brand new webpage here in March. And you can find that at www.etxrocks.show. That webpage has over 11,000 hours of live independent music coverage on there. So if you're a music fan, you can stay busy for a long time just by going to our webpage. So please do that. You'll be surprised. And as we always say on the ETX ROCKS Show, we want to thank you guys out there for always supporting live music of all genres and all styles. And don't ever forget,
ETX rocks.
That's right. Thanks for watching.
From the unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where it all begins. Welcome to the show, let the music flow of every style and creed. And you can bet your socks that it's